So let me introduce myself first. My name is Brigitte Knight, and I am a human design educator and a life coach. And my background is in psychology and in nursing and human design studies with Karen Curry Parker. I have been studying human design since 2006, and I've been doing readings since 2008 and been hanging out in hospitals and offices and all over the place watching people and watching all the types operate. So I hope I have a little bit of insider information to share with you today. I invited Marla to come on with me today as a co-host and to keep me on track and to help ask questions at the end. So Marla, I'm just did you get the printout I sent you? Never mind.
No, your audio just went sideways for me. I don't know if it went sideways
Oh,
for
can you
anybody
guys
else.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, and Maureen just nodded. So there was just a handful, like maybe a sentence worth that just
Okay, how's
when you were
that?
talking about the handouts. So
Is
I
that
just
better?
wanted to, yes, you're
Okay.
you're clear, Isabel, now.
Oh yeah, I emailed you something, Marla, so you might want to take a
Emailed.
look at it. Yeah, there's some
I
questions
will.
at the end I thought we could ask together. So I invited all of the human design types to come today because I think it's important that we learn from each other so that we can support each other. There is going to be things you might want to take notes on today. So grab pen, paper, and see if you can jot a few things down. I would have loved to have made a cheat sheet for you, but I didn't. So um, that's how it's going to go today, guys. So the topic that we're talking about today is projectors achieving success and maintaining success. And the reason I chose that topic is I don't exactly know where it popped up in my head, but it was all about what does it feel like to be in success? Because it's kind of an odd word, like success is a state of being, right? We all understand bitterness, but what does success feel like? So I decided to ask a few people and I got some feedback, and that was really, really fun. So, as I was saying before, all the types that are here, welcome. And if you're listening on the replay, welcome, because this information is going to help you support projectors around you because it's a win-win when you do that. They have something that you need, and you're going to learn that you have something that they need from what we talk about today. Okay. So you've learned who I am. So Marla, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
I sure can. Thank you, Brigitte. My name is Marla Mack. I am a 1-3 emotional manifesting generator, or as I call myself, an emo mangen. And I am a soul purpose business mentor and an advanced human design specialist. And I've known Brigitte for a little while, and we do a lot of, she helps me rein in my generator chaos and
And I borrow her splenic manifesting generator energy all the time.
oh, yes, non-splenic. I am not, I don't have
Oh,
any spleen I have hanging gates off the spleen, but you borrow my emo and kind of taste those waves. And then you're like, yeah, I'm done.
yeah.
Good.
And I take the
Thank you.
sacral and then I run and hide. And that will give you an example of what it's like to have two different beings in the same energy. And we know human design, so we can actually speak to what it feels like. And that's the other thing I want to encourage people to do as they journey through their human design is to start experimenting with how do I feel when I'm with this person and how do I feel when I'm not? That's the best way to learn is to be walking around in awareness of this new outfit of your type and strategy and authority. And what does it feel like? Best way to learn. All right. So we came here to talk about projector invitations. But before that, we're going to just look at the agenda. It's not just going to be invitations. I want to lay a foundation as to what do the themes mean today, how to achieve success, and how to maintain success. That's what we're going to talk about. And then near the end, we're going to look at some questions that people have sent in to me because I did send out a survey and some people filled it in. I did crowdsource it on Facebook and got a couple of things in, right? So without further ado, let's talk about the themes. We all know projector theme of bitterness, right? And we can all come up with ways of describing bitterness. I bet you can too. Like if you have any words that when you think of bitterness come up for you, you can drop them in the chat and we'll take a look. But I think of words like irritable, uncooperative, right? People who say, I hate my life. Nothing ever works for me, right? Resentment, Chelsea, that's a good one. People are in resentment. They are hurt, they are depressed, and they're withholding, right? Who on earth wants to live in a space like that, right? So it'll take you into anxiety and depression and on down the rabbit hole, right? So we can recognize a bitter person. That's easy to spot when and they repel us. We don't want to be around them at all. But how about somebody who's living in success? How would we recognize them? Well, first of all, I wanted to share with you what a theme is when it comes to a person. Like we understand a theme in a book. What's the theme of this book? What's the theme of an essay? What is the theme of this movie? What is the theme of this hotel lobby? We can go, oh, it was pink, or oh, that dude over there is super grumpy, and that girl over there is super happy, right? And always smiling. So we actually go around labeling people with their theme, believe it or not, right? So a bitter person, easy to spot, bitter, stay away from them. Success. How do we get into it? Success happens to a projector when they are actually living their strategy and living their type, right? So we talk a lot about strategy, but do we ever focus on what it means to be a projector? What are we doing? What is our purpose? We are here for the people. That's the way I like to say it. We are stretching our arms out and helping primarily generators, manifesting generators, but other types, we're helping them to find their way, learn their design well, and use it in a way that their energy can shine and they can meet their potential, right? Wouldn't you say, Marla? That's the job of a projector. So when I think about it, we are here to be of service. And we're talking about success, right? So the mindset of success is thinking of ourselves as being of service. Bitterness is the opposite, is withholding, you get none of me, I hate all of you, I hate this, I hate that. So one way to achieve success is to walk into it with a mindset of service, that I'm here to answer an invitation and I'm here to deliver the goods if I feel really good about it, right? And then at the end, I am going to feel thrilled if it turns out well, right? A job well done. That's success for a projector. And it happens all the time. If you choose your invitations correctly, you will have those experiences. Have you heard anything about that, Marla, at all? Have you heard any projectors speak in that way?
I have heard some, it is I guess it's a journey, right? Not just a destination, right? The one thing that keeps coming up for me when you're talking about that is strong boundaries. And it's important for anybody, but I think especially as a projector, is how important boundaries are to let's say, keep an alignment, ward off the bitterness, and sort of keep on that trajectory for success. Mm-hmm. And being accepted. So that was one thing that really kept, I think, out of probably all the types, projectors and boundaries are especially important for projectors. But yes, there are some people. However, I mean, some of the projectors I've spoken to as clients, or they're coming in for readings, or we're having conversations, is one of the very common themes is burnout, and the unfortunate situation that many of them are in is they've experienced a lot of bitterness and burnout before they discover they're a projector, before they understand their energetic blueprint. Mm-hmm. And while they're relieved to have learned that, about themselves, it comes on the tail of a lot of struggle and challenge.
This is true. There's definitely a lot of learning as you become a projector, right? There's a lot of unlearning being a generator, a lot of sitting and mourning, of what in the past, and then now learning to use your strategy and your authority to put the boundaries around yourself so that you can move forward, right? So those are things that help us to stay in success as well as we learn. And that's something to definitely hammer home, is that human design and learning to live it is definitely a journey. It takes time, and you have to put a little bit of effort into it as well. So learning it, taking in the knowledge, putting in the time, and putting in the work. So those of you who are actually showing up on the call today are demonstrating that, right? You want to do something better or different with your human design. You came here for a little bit of knowledge, so you gave up some time, you're here with us, you're taking notes, you are moving forward. That's another way to stay in success, is to always be thinking about, what have I done that was fabulous? What can I be proud of right now? And what else will I do in the future? Let's have some more of that, right? Those are ways to stay in it, to achieve success, is to have that forward moving, who can I help? Who might need me? Where are the people? That is what projectors are here for, right? So we're waiting for them to ask us, but we can always be out there just in our own mind thinking about what might we say to them if they asked us, right? And celebrate our brilliant solutions in our head by ourselves. The other thing about getting into success is, what do you do when you're waiting for invitations? You don't have one, so you don't have a success job right now. What do you do? I encourage all of you to be in a state of readiness for the big invitation that you're going to get. And does anybody know what I mean by readiness at all? Or being in a prepared state? If you do, what does readiness mean to you, being in a state of readiness?
I've only heard it in a class. I'm on, ladies, I'm Anna. Let me see if I can, I'm on the
Oh, hi,
tail of
Anna.
these
Yeah.
amazing women. They've been doing this for such a long time, so I'm so honored to be here because I'm in my first steps of getting certified, and I've been studying it for 2 years. And as a generator, I also wait. And my best friend, I was telling her about waiting for the response, and I asked Karen once, "What do we do while we wait?" And Brigitte, I know you have an article about this on your blog as well, which I have shared with a lot of friends.
Oh, so
Of
sweet.
course, you're such a queen. You know that song Caribbean Queen?
Yes.
You're the Canadian queen, but to that song. Okay, so now I'm thinking about the song. What do we do in the waiting? What is waiting? Is that the question? What
Yeah.
is waiting to be ready? Because I pondered that for many a year. And I think does it have to do, about before showing up, um, putting in the time. So for example, while I was waiting for some, now I've learned it, but waiting for something to the environment to respond in, I was preparing inside. Does that does that make sense? Like kind of this pumping myself up, noticing and being aware.
Mhm.
That's my answer.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, that's perfect. Anna is a generator. So that is her process of being prepared and ready. Now, my experience as a projector being ready means I have to live in the world, first of all, so people can see me and invite me. And second of all, until I get that amazing, rare, juicy invitation, I have to be envisioning what it is I might want to be doing. And then once I've got the vision clear, I can start doing the things that the vision might require, right? Like going to school, like taking courses, like traveling a little bit, like joining a group that has my interests, right? All of these things are ways of preparing. And when the invitation comes, you are going to be recognized for whatever that thing is you've been preparing for, right? It's not just going to be random flattery. It's going to be, oh my gosh, you're so good at that. Or like Anna said, I read this blog that you wrote, right? There's going to be evidence out there that you are ready for your invitation. And that is how you achieve success, is to have that mindset, readiness, and I'm here to serve. right? And I am going to do all the things that help me stay in that mindset. And it's not yeah positivity. It is a way of being. It's a stillness and looking around for what is my job as a projector and am I ready? Right? Does that make sense to everybody? How are you doing over there, Maureen? Good? Okay. All right.
I'm also
So,
thinking, oh, sorry. I'm also thinking for me in particular, and I think you've already said it, and I think you're going to go there more, is just understanding how to be a projector, like how to be quiet in my body. And yeah.
yes, thank you for emphasizing it. That is another feature of being in success, right? You don't have to be super active in doing things and accomplish, we're not manifestors and manifesting generators. That's not our jam. That doesn't show us that we're being productive, right? We can be still, we can be reading a book. It's a way of being, right, Anna? Maureen? Right? It's a way of being, and people are attracted to that. They're not attracted to bitter. They're attracted to this person over there who's like, come talk to me or not. I'm going to be okay. Right, Maureen? That's the vibe that we walk through. So that's success. And we know that when we've achieved it. And how do we get into success? So if we're not already there, Marla, we've talked about people who are new in human design and they may be burned out and they're like, what is going on? I can't quite get the vibe of this projector thing. And I'm right. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about, Marla. Let me tell you what they are. Two ways to get into it are recognizing our allies in human design and also understanding the invitation process, right? So we need people. Our strategy needs people. There's just no way around it. We need somebody to ask us something, invite us to something, give us an opportunity. Excuse me. But in the human design family, all the other types are welcome to ask us things, right? But we do have a natural partner and a natural ally, and that would be the generator and the manifesting generator, right? We have a bit of a symbiotic relationship with them. Trying to think of an analogy, like hand and glove, like a hand and a glove go together really well. So think of anything that cannot work without the other. That is the relationship that projectors have with generators. And the more they realize that, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what words could we say, that the faster we can get things done, the more cooperative we can be on this planet at this time. And it's only going to get better if we wake up to it, right? So here's if anyone's at home, I see Maureen's writing, if you could draw a rectangle, right, that you can write in, I'm going to share a few things with you so that you can absolutely see. So it would be, fairly big enough that you can divide it into 4 and then be able to just write a few points in there, right? So on the left axis, right? So the left line, horizontal line down the side. At the top of the first category would be projectors rather, put projectors up there. And then underneath that, put generators, right? So each of them have their own line in your chart. Yes? Okay. And then at the top, the first column, put what they have. So the first column going across the top is what they have, right? And then the second column going across the top, we're going to say what they need. And then we're going to fill that in so that you guys can see in a graph form. I meant to draw you a picture of it, but I think you've got it, right? All right, so let me see, Marla. Good start, but that's it. Definitely, you're going to run out of space, but yes. Okay, so what do projectors have? Let's fill in that box first. Okay. I'm going to tell you a couple things. You guys just jot down some notes. So first of all, they have an enveloping aura, right? And I think about that in terms of we walk around and we have like this blanket or this sheet that we just have over each other and offer them the opportunity to get some help and get some relief from stress, right? And what else? They deeply understand other people, right? They're very wise about other people. They ask great questions, right? They're really good at generator questions once they get the hang of it themselves. They know how to access the sacral in a generator. I always tell my clients, just ask a yes or no, like, can I talk to you for a sec? And you can talk, right? Can I have a little bit of your time? Can I make a suggestion? Those little questions are very impactful. Would you say, Marla? Like, how do they make you feel when people interrupt you with a question like that?
Well, they do a couple things. First of all, they open a door, right, to whatever's coming next, which is really important. And they're easy to answer. You know, they're quick to, as opposed to, what would you like? Right? Have to think about it.
Yes. You go up in your head rather than your body, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's an art. I'm, you know, to my, I think, generator mom, you know, sometimes I want to be like, is it A or B? So,
yes,
you know, I'm having, and I'm having to, I'm like, how do I pull off A or B in a yes or no? So I'll literally be like, hey, do you want A? And I'll pause and then I'll be like, or B.
That's what I
That
call
almost makes them like two,
yeah.
you know, like A, yes or no, B, yes or no. So,
Yeah.
but yes, that just makes it a little bit easier to respond and react as opposed to, you know, and I'm open head and now, so I'm like, right? Like if I have to,
We're going to talk about that too. Yeah.
yeah.
So yes, that's absolutely it. I talk about learning to speak generator because there's 70% of the planet are generators, right? So I just assume everybody's a generator until they tell me different. And I speak to them in generator language so that they can buy in to wanting to talk to me, right? So thank you, Marla. I've heard that before, that when you ask multiple choice questions of generators, and if they do have an open head, it's very difficult for them to flow. It has to be one answer, next one, answer, and they can do much better. It has nothing to do with intellect. It has everything to do with how their body reacts. It's a very vibrational thing for them. So that's good to know, right? Okay, so projectors are really good once they get the hang of it, of asking sacral questions. So they're a gift to generators that way. They're natural directors, guides, and teachers. Yes. So that's all in the have column. And we often refer to them as guides. So I want you to sort of think into what a guide is. Have you ever stopped to think about what a guide actually does? Like I think of them leading safari in Africa or something, right? So you can see it's all about safety, right? It's all about clearing a path. You're responsible for people and you're responsible for getting them to their destination in one piece and safe, right? So as a guide, if I'm going through the Amazon and no one's been eaten or, you know, fell off a cliff or, or you know, stepped in some quicksand, I get everybody back to camp. What is that? Success. Yes. And that feels really good to a projector because they're guides. They want you to get there safely. We're out there. We want to help you, right? All right. So that's the have column for projectors. So what do projectors need? Let's do that box. What do they need? They need recognition, invitation, and they need energy. That's all. Very simple. And when I say energy, I mean stamina. It's not like generators don't have any energy. What they need is the ability to keep it going for some length of time so they can get their project done, right? So it's really stamina. I've started thinking about it that way. We think of unlimited energy, stamina works. How are you doing over there, Chelsea, with us? Okay, good.
No, my daughter who's 11 has asked me recently to help her with her stamina. and she's a projector too. She meant in an exercising kind of way, but I think it's funny that she used the word stamina.
Oh,
And
she
then you did too.
knows. She knows it's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
It's in the DNA.
Right.
So thanks for sharing that. Okay, so let's fill in the generator section of what they have. What do they have going for them? Generators are very creative. They love to do stuff. They love to build things. They're just always looking for something new to do. They love to work. When they're interested in something and they respond to something, they can like work at that thing forever. They will chase it down and they'll look for opportunities to just master it. That's what they do, right? They have unlimited energy to work. They can always pull from it. Even if they've responded incorrectly or they don't, how do you say, they're not enjoying the work that they're doing, they can still pull from the energy if they want to, right? So they have unlimited energy and they have stamina. So that's what they have. Now, what do they need? Let's fill in that box. Generators need an introduction and understanding of their sacral response system, right? They need to learn to trust their decisions. They need confidence in themselves that they will always know what's right for them. They need to understand the different types of frustration that they're in, right? And they also need to recognize the difference between initiating and responding, right? Anybody have anything else to add at all to any of those boxes that you could think of?
Can we just review from the top? I have introduction to sacral system, trust, was it decisiveness?
Trust their decisions.
Decision, and all of a sudden I can't spell decision. Trust decision making, confidence. What's after confidence?
Learning the difference between initiating and responding.
Can you talk a little more about that real quick?
Sure.
Learning between initiating.
Sure. Well, everyone in the human design system at the beginning wants to be a manifester, right? We want to be able to start our own thing and do it from start to finish. We want to just be our own person, right? So generators, because they have energy, sometimes feel that they can initiate. Like they have some energy, they have power, they should be able to just run out and do it. But that's not their strategy. They need to respond and then they can take action and initiate. So when I say they need to know the difference between initiating and responding, that takes practice as well. Does that help, Anna?
It does so much. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, someone raised their hand. And let's see, I don't know who that is. How do I know who that is, Marla? Oh, it's gone now. Anyway, it might have been Anna. Oh, and the last thing I was going to say is frustration, because there's two different types of frustration that generators have that they need to understand what the message is. What is it trying to tell them? Right? Is it good frustration or bad frustration? And how do we work our way through that? Right? Okay, so you've got your box and they're all filled in. So now let's look at how that box works, right? So you've got projector, what they have up in the top corner, and then you've got generator, what do they want down in the lower corner, right? And as you can see, the projector can actually satisfy that need, right? So there's projector, what they have, and generator, what they need, and it's diagonal. Right? So you can actually draw an arrow straight across with two arrows going, this is how that flows, right? There's what they have to give and what they need, right? And then flip it the other way. So now we can look up at the top and see, or actually let's start at the bottom. We can see what does the generator have to give? And then at the top right corner, we can see what do they need? And can we see the correlation? Can you see that what the generator has to give is exactly what the projector needs, right?
So amazing. How many parents would love to have this information?
Oh, Anna. Thank you. Yes, you're right. I didn't think of it that way, right? But can you guys share with me how that chart is working for you? Does it make sense? Do you understand it? Anything to add to it? What do you think? Is it something you could use?
Yeah, it makes sense for me. My boyfriend is a generator, and he discovered human design the same time I did because I told him all about it. Um, and he loves to build things. He loves to do things around the house. He loves to shovel the snow off the roof of the house. And I love to watch him, and he's totally fine with that. He
That's how it
understands I need.
works.
And
Yeah.
he talks about his generator energy and how, like, he used it all up for the day. And I'll tell him if I overused my energy, but I think this is a perfect example of generators and projectors and what they do for
Yeah,
each
the
other.
relationship. Yeah, because I think we hear it,
Mhm.
but we don't necessarily understand it. So hopefully that graph gives you a little better. Anybody else thoughts?
I've been without using the graph, like I love this because it really makes it clear. I have a son and daughter-in-law who are generators, and then their two children are manifesting generators. And so I've been practicing using some of these strategies. We don't talk human design. I don't think they're I haven't been
That
invited.
language, yeah.
Haven't
Right.
been recognized or invited to talk about it.
Right.
But it works.
Yeah, right. And it
Yeah.
works because you have the understanding.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
even know what's happening to them, but probably your relationship has improved because you have the knowledge.
Yeah.
Did you
And
say?
like the other night, my little 3-year-old granddaughter, I forgot, and she wanted a snack. And I thought how weird it was that she didn't just say what she wanted for a snack. And so I said, "What does your tummy feel like?" And she's like, "I don't know." Like I completely forgot to give her yes or no choices. And as soon as I gave her choices, it just worked like a charm. It was really interesting.
Oh, yeah, I love it. You can talk about human design without using the actual language
Mhm.
if you're savvy, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So, how do we use this chart and how do we use it to be in success? Generator sees they need something to do. They're waiting for they've got something to do. They're a little bit stuck. They're stymied. A projector walks by or they overhear a projector conversation. They're like, you're the person I've been waiting for. And they come over and they want to know more. And if wanting to know more leads to, I can do this job for you, you're the one for me, well, guess what? Here comes recognition, here comes invitation. And if the projector is on board, they're going to feel excited and want to do the job, right? But if the two of them weren't in the same space, none of that would have happened, right? So projectors need to sidle up to generators so they can get some invitations, and generators need to recognize that sometimes they need help focusing and getting through things, making their way through things, seeing things they can't see. Projectors are really good at that, right? And talking about yourself, like Maureen mentioned, the more we talk about ourselves without using the words, like, you know what I learned about myself the other day? I just do not have a lot of stamina. Have you noticed that? Or, so, finding nifty ways to talk about yourself is a huge teaching tool for other people. You'd be surprised because down the road, they will repeat it back to you, believe it or not. So I know you don't have a lot of stamina. So we were going to go on a hike and we don't think you want to go. You would be right about that. So that is how you work with that. Okay. Let's see, what else would I want to add? Oh, I want to make it clear that just because we're doing a generator projector type relationship, that doesn't mean that we can't ally with manifestors and reflectors, right? the energy is just going to come from somewhere different. Manifestors also non-sacral beings like projectors, right? So we're not going to get it from there, but they may have other motors that provide energy. They might be an emotional manifestor. They might be an ego manifestor with the will center, right? They might have a root center that we don't have, and they might give it to us as they are explaining what's up, right? That there's an energy transfer there, and we can get excited and giddy and ready to go as well. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So let's move on to the second way for us to achieve success. Believe it or not, we're still on that. There's two parts to it. One is recognizing our generator allies, and now the second part is the moment we've all been waiting for, the 4 steps of strategy. All right, now we all know that Ross spoke about recognition and invitation, and I do see it written sometimes that just invitation, but that is half the battle for a projector. There really does have to be a sense of, I see you, I see what you bring to the table, and I want that. Like that conversation has to go on before someone can invite you, right? Now, how do you know that you're being recognized? How would you know that someone has recognized you? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? You know, is there a sign that you have in your body? And that's what we're going to talk about, using our body to help us with our strategy. So from surveying some of my clients and myself, projection feels warm in the heart, right? There's a receiving, and it can make you blush. There's a giddiness about it, right? You feel like, oh my God, someone's seen me. You know, like that Sally Fields getting her Oscar thing. You really like me. If you're of a certain age, you'll remember that. And one of my other clients described it as, do you know when you're in high school and you have a crush on someone and they don't even know you exist, but there's that one day when they just look at you or smile at you or something, and you just feel like you could turn into a puddle on the sidewalk. That's how she described recognition. So what's recognition like for you guys? Have you ever broken it down that way? Anybody? What's that, Chelsea?
No, I never broke it down quite like that or how it feels, but I do have my own business where people email me for jobs, and I do wait for that. But as far as the recognition, I don't get people fawning over me or anything.
No, not them fawning. It is them seeing you, saying it to you that we love what you do and we really want you. And how does it feel to be seen for what you actually want to be seen for? And then to be invited. It's that in between the invitation vibe, right before the invitation, because that's very important. If they don't recognize you and you don't have that initial feeling, the invitation can be a little sketch as well and not feel as good too. So I wonder, Chelsea, if like from here forward, do you think you might want to just grow an awareness of that, sort of start watching for that? Because there's a difference between flattery and recognition, right? Because the flattery and the fawning, like you mentioned, can be fake, right? And you kind of take it in at about this level. Isn't that right? The recognition, as you start watching it, it's going to be like warm. You've blushed before, yeah? It's like that. You'll recognize it the next time you see it. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think in my job, I'm a portrait photographer. And I've often felt not appreciated, I guess. I mean, I do get the business.
Mm-hmm.
I get the business, I get the work, I finish the work, and they pay me. But I often don't get the, oh, we love what you do. Thank you so much. They hire me, but I don't hear those words.
Mm.
I've often thought it was a thankless job.
There you go.
You know, and it's not, maybe photography for some people is a stressful thing. It's not something that they're really looking forward to. But so So that's just something I've been doing this for 19 years and only known about my being a projector for one.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at it in retrospect.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but I have gotten the work for all those 19 years without putting myself out there too much. I barely market. It's a lot of word of mouth. Um,
Got
so
you.
I found
But
I
word of
was,
mouth is, I would say word of mouth is recognition. They trust you enough to do that. Doesn't that feel good? Like they trust you enough to,
yes.
that's what I'm talking about. See that face you just made? That's
Yes.
recognition, right? That's it. And the smile,
Right.
and you're blushing, aren't you? A little bit. Somebody saw you. That's exactly
Mhm.
what recognition feels like. And you've been missing out. So collect all the ones that you can from now on. It's a
Okay.
great feeling. All
Thank
right.
you.
So once we get that, we want to move into invitation. Now, invitation, we're just going to use our ears for that. We're looking for the words, I invite you, right? Or some facsimile of that. Can you help me with this? Would you like to participate in this? Do you want to join us over here? Listen for words like that. For a projector that's just starting out, it's very important to be as literal as possible with those words so that you don't make a mistake, right? So far, recognition, clarity of invitation is next. So excuse me, recognition, invitation, clarify. Not everybody needs to do this because you may totally understand the invitation. But if you aren't sure, if you have an open head and there were lots of details, you might want to say, okay, let me be, let's clarify. Can I clarify and get your pen out, get a piece of paper out, whatever you need, and ask, can you go over that one more time? Are you asking me to do this? Are you asking me to do this? Are you asking me to do this? And that's interesting because you may be talking to a generator, right? And all of those are yes or no questions right there. So you have this agreement that is clear, right? And now you can move into the next piece. Between a projector and a generator and the other types, there needs to be an energy transfer, right? Remember I said generators have the stamina and the energy and projectors don't have a ton. So in order for the projector to help the generator effectively, they need to get that energy, right? So when there's agreement, when an invitation's feeling yummy and juicy and you want to go for it, you want to check for a rise in your energy level. You want to check for excitement. You want to check for, oh my God, I can't wait to get started, right? That means you have access to the generator's sacral and whatever else the manifestor might have and whatever connections you and a reflector might make, right? They've given it to you freely and you and they can now work towards success, completing a job to the point of success, right? So basically those are my 4 steps. Ra outlined recognition and invitation, and all I've added is clarifying the details so there's no mistake and paying attention to if you get an energy bump. That's important. If you're listening to an invitation and you feel exhausted, depleted, you just are slumped in your chair, you feel like you could just roll up on the floor and go to sleep, you can't wait to get away from there, those are signs that this invitation is not energizing you. You do not have access to the person's energy. Your auras haven't blended in a way that your job is going to be successful. Right? So I would encourage you to step back and think long and hard about that. You can always override your strategy. That's a part of learning as well. You can, even if it doesn't feel energizing, you can still do it. There may be reasons for that, right? Like I need a job, you know, whatever it is. But know that it may not turn out great and just look at it as a learning experience on my journey forward, right? What does it feel like when I don't live in strategy? Okay, I think we've covered that. So let's move on to how do we maintain success? So we know how to get into it. Oh, yes.
Do you mind me if I just jump in? I was also going to mention that a technically correct invitation, one where you're recognized for your gifts and talents, at an inopportune time is a wrong invitation. So if you're in a burnout state, if you're in a regen state, if you just need, maybe you're line 2, you're in your retreat mode, you need to retreat, you need to, regenerate. an invitation that, you know, could have been juicy at another time when you are a little bit more energetically robust, and rested. It may sound good, but that's where you want your authority to really double check for you, right? And if your emotional authority, especially if your emotional authority, hey, that sounds really great. Do you mind if I take a day or two to
Yeah.
sort of reflect on that, to let that percolate, let's like say, or marinate, just because there could be this impetus to accept it, going, oh, but then realizing, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Right? I accepted
Yeah.
something that I just can't fulfill on or showcase, you know, and feel that success, because at that point you're just like, I just need to get through it because I said yes to something I shouldn't have said yes to.
And that is so hard to do. You know,
Mm.
you're just compounding your burnout if that's what's happening to
Mhm.
you, right? So that is a very good point. That you may not have it in the tank to give. And no matter how joyful and how generous they are with their sacral, it's not the right time for you, right? And the other blessing of that is the universe also knows that. It knows if you are not able to accept a great invitation. It knows if you're in bitterness, because in bitterness, you can't give, you can't help anybody, right? So you will find that the invitations that come to you, they will fall apart. You should not take them. They may not even come to you because you are not ready. Remember, we talked about being in a state of readiness and preparedness, and that also includes our health, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical health. How ready are we for invitations? So if we're bitter about not getting any, one thing to check in on is, are we healthy? Like if someone came and asked us to do something, would we feel be in our integrity to accept right now? That's another way of looking at it. So can we move on to maintaining success? Anybody have any questions at all? I haven't been paying attention to the chat, but okay, never mind. So maintaining success. How do we keep the party going? We are in it, so how do we maintain it? Number one on my list is clarity again. Clarity, I think, will save projectors a lot of time and trouble. Figure out what waiting for recognition and invitation means and feels like. What are you supposed to do while you're waiting? So there's no juicy invitation on the horizon. What do you do? Right? And we're going to talk about that. And then be clear about invitations that you actually have to wait for. So those would be things like making a big expenditure of money on something, right? You want to have some idea, talked it out, heard your voice back. Something has sparked this thing in you. Moving across country, moving down the street takes energy. We don't have it. All right. So we need to, come on, generators, invite me to move. That's not that, what's the word I'm looking for? Literal, but definitely thinking about the energy that you have and who can you bring into your world that, would be willing to invite themselves to help you. Right. And then getting married, having children. Sometimes we don't think about that, but raising a family is a big deal. Right. So whether you're going to do it as a single mom or in a couple, that's a conversation. Right. So there's generator speak. Do you want to have kids? And then there's the projector. How do you feel about that? Are we ready? Right? Do you have the energy? Are you lit up? All of that. Do you feel recognized? Do people say to you that you would be an excellent mom? I can see that in you. You're just so caring. Recognition. Oh, Chelsea, I want to add this for you. Recognition is also very spontaneous. You never see it coming. That's why it makes you blush. For me, oh my goodness, recognition makes me tear. It makes me cry a little. I'm like, oh, it's like, oh my goodness, how did you see that about me? Nobody ever sees that about me. And so, yeah, so that's another aspect of it. So be clear about what you're waiting for and what invitations need. what am I trying to say? What are the big invitations that we definitely need to wait for, right? The next thing that we want to consider about maintaining success is building community. Find other like-minded persons like yourself, right? We talked about invitations are out there. Projectors need to go out there, right? If you're burnt out, you probably can't go out there. You sometimes can only go as far as your bed, from the bed to the bathroom, back to bed. Online, there are communities that you can get on and not put your face on it, but listen and pick up some energy from that. Here's some ideas. And then as you're feeling better, you can start to, what's the word? Participate. That's the word. You can participate, right? And people can start to learn about you. Again, learning about you, they can have seeds planted in their brain so that when something comes up, they will know who to invite. They will think of you, right? So that's another way to maintain our success, is to be always out there planting seeds. Go out, groups that share the same interests as we do, just our general friends, and don't be afraid to talk about yourself, right? Talk about yourself with non-human design terms if you want, so people can get to know you. And if people are open to human design, be an evangelist, tell them all about it, run their chart, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, so that people see, oh my God, I know someone who's a human design expert. You know, I've heard of human design before. Who was that girl at the party who was talking? So you start to get stuck in people's heads, right? So definitely be out there in conversation, talking about something new that you learned, something you're about to try, right? Be proud of your design. And I say this with love because it is a challenging design to hear about and then to try to live, because comparison comes in, right? We see manifester, Manny Jennies, they're out there doing their thing, generators doing their thing. And we feel like we can do that too. We have the same smarts, we have all of that, right? But we don't have the energy. And if we're not invited, we don't get it, right? And everything's more difficult. So coming to terms with that from the beginning, making peace with that from the beginning, and determine that you are going to learn what the projector strengths are, right? What am I going to be proud of? What makes me valuable? Come up with those things. What's great about me that people need to know more about me? You know, hello, Joe. Well, you probably can't hear me. Hi there. What about me is going to invite curiosity? What about me is interesting, right? So I was about to say that there are some people, I've read it in the forums, that say, I hate my design. I hate it. It's too hard. I don't like it. I can't this, and they're just really negative and bitter. And I get it. I definitely do, because there's a learning curve, right? And there's also working with your emotions. How do you feel about waiting? How do you feel about not always being seen for who you are? How do you feel about having to wait so that you can speak at the right time? That takes years to make peace with, you know, because you've been all your life think you're a generator and just speaking, and thinking you're a manifester and just doing, right? So that takes time. So I want you to think of it as, you know, turning the Titanic slowly but surely, but always be moving forward so you don't roll around in the bitterness, right? Because if you do, what you've learned about human design, it's not going to work for you. You're going to throw it away and think, oh, it's one of those, you know, stupid things that came along and didn't work for me. And you have to realize it's time, effort, knowledge, and taking care of yourself, and keep moving forward. Recognize what your bitterness feels like, and when it's coming on, get your list of what can I do to get out of this and to stay in success, right? The other thing to do is talk it out. Projectors, I want you to know that sometimes you'll read that only certain authorities need to talk. Talking helps us clarify our plans, clarify what we want to do, clarify who we are. When you talk out loud and your voice is hitting a room with another person in it, there is a weird feeling that happens. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever experienced that as projectors. When you're talking by yourself, or you're just reading by yourself, or you're trying to figure out something by yourself, it's like you're in your head. You're just blah, 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 like this. The minute you intentionally go and talk to someone and they're just willing to sit there and listen to you, they don't necessarily have to be staring at you, but they might be knitting or they might be cooking or something, but they are hearing you. So that if you happen to say, what do you think of that? Or did you hear what I said? They can actually come back and say, I heard that. Yeah, it sounds interesting. And go back. It's just the fact that they're there as your trusted sounding board that sometimes you'll start to speak to them and you'll be like, you know what? Never mind. I figured it out already. And they haven't said anything to you. Have you guys experienced that? Yes, Chelsea. Cool. How about you, Maureen? No?
I had to unmute myself. Haha.
You have.
I, well, it's hard for me because I live alone, and anybody who knows me well in my life, it's an advice giving kind of situation. Because I let it be, because I didn't know about human design until a couple of years ago. But I think probably I have done it. Yeah, with my sister, I probably have done it.
Mhm.
And I just need to maybe disregard the advice, or just hear my own answer.
Well, even the people that you're giving advice to, right? I wonder if there's room there for you to share. Like
Yeah,
to ask them, oh, can I tell you what happened to me this week? Or can I tell you something I've been thinking about?
yeah, yeah.
What do you think? Could you try that and see if you could add on a few of these sounding board relationships?
Right. And another thing I noticed was when I was in my 20s, I soundboarded all the time and felt embarrassed for it,
Mhm.
and then stopped doing it because I didn't have the context of human design to understand that that was what I needed to do.
That's what you were supposed to do. How
Yeah.
interesting. I understand that, but now we see the importance of it. So
Mhm.
take the knowledge that you know and start looking for opportunities, right? It'll get you out there. It'll get you talking about yourself. These friends who've been getting your wisdom forever will now get a chance. They'll get a chance to show you how interested they are in you.
Mhm.
And that's very important information, isn't it?
Mhm.
As well. Oh, thanks, Maureen, for sharing. Okay, so Marla, I know you have to go pretty soon. Yeah. Are you out right now? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
pretty
right.
much, because it's 1 o'clock here. So
Yeah,
are
thank
you
you.
good for me to bow out?
No. Um, I want you to speak a little bit to, do you have a few minutes?
I have 5 minutes, 4 minutes. How
I'm
about
just gonna get Marla to bounce out of, I'm gonna bounce out of my routine for a minute, because there are a couple of questions that people did send in, and Marla has a extensive background in business. And I know that a lot of projectors are always concerned about their career and starting a business, right?
Mhm.
And I have thoughts about that, but Marla actually has a plan. So one of the
Mhm.
questions someone wanted to know is about being in corporate life, right?
Mhm.
Working in a corporate environment when you really don't, where are you going to rest? How can you take care of yourself as a projector in that? And you can't quit and you can't leave the job. Is
Mhm.
there any way of being as a even yourself as a man gen and learning about yourself?
As somebody who, yes, was in corporate for years and in management, and was trying to run screaming from their job for a number of years and couldn't get another job because I was like number two, number two, right? Like, and it's like, Um, well, what I can say is the if you're in a situation like that where you really can't, for financial reasons, probably that's a can't, right? Just, I can't remove myself right now. And I understand those are, I will say I've heard some business coaches are like, burn the bridges, go do it, step in. I actually think that advice is, I've heard it from an ego manifester, and perfect for them. But I also realize how dangerous it is to make kind of those generalities in terms of advice or, pushing. It is, it is important to have feelings of safety and security. Like I'm very much a line 1. I'm a 1-3. And not only that, but I have some base and tones, which are all about safety and security, line 1, that's sort of that foundation of just making sure you have things in place. Knowing where your next meal is coming from, knowing you can pay the mortgage is important to have enough of a baseline to just be able to breathe, to step into, and start deconditioning and step into other things. So if you're in a situation where you're in a position right now, where you're in corporate and you're earning a job, I would do 2 things. First of all, the first thing is, do you have any mechanisms or opportunities to make your current situation a little bit more favorable for you? And what that would mean is, can you speak to your boss, explain some of your own natural gifts and talents to the degree that you're aware of them, and see if maybe some job duties can be rearranged, rejigged. That's especially valuable if a boss can recognize, some of your inherent like guidance and talents in that. There may be some opportunities within, let's say, the organization or the business where they may not fall into your job description, but they may be a good complement for your natural talents. Is there an opportunity to step into those and maybe consequently remove some things which are energetically draining off of your plate? I understand that may not always fly, 100 reasons why. However, to engage in that conversation, or at least to attempt to engage that conversation, will also make you feel better knowing, okay, I've taken the steps, I've done what I can, right? Because some people say, oh, I can't talk to my boss about that. And it's like, can you at least try, right? Or is there an opportunity? Maybe if you can find out your boss's design, if you at least kind of know their birthday and year, and you can play with free charts and kind of get a read on the day, right? If you know they're a generator, right? Ask them yes or no questions, right? Craft. So there may be ways to do that. That would be number 1. You want to at least be in an environment currently which can support you, even if it's not your dream job, even if it's not your dream business situation. And then number 2, I would say take a very, good solid look at, like I said, not just the job responsibilities, but life. What can you clear on your plate to give you some space to breathe and give you that time to really digest as to what vision you really want to pursue. There are times we don't even think about it. We've unconsciously taken on a whole lot of responsibilities that we don't actually need to take on. And so if you do this very critical look at, what are the things that you can move off your plate? You can delegate, you can just ignore. It's not important. It's not a big deal. Oh gosh, I realize I'm doing it now because my mom was always judgmental about how I clean the house, right? All of those things, and set them up for success for yourself. Because as a projector, especially when that sort of drive and energy and stamina isn't as consistent or present, it's all the more vital to be, I'll use the word ruthless with your energy, right? And not compromise, right? And not tolerate and not just get by, right? And when you start making shifts like that, first of all, you're starting to take some control. And that is that first step into stepping into, that sort of new evolution. And it may be amazing that even just a couple of shifts might start really changing your energy, your dynamics, right? Invitations might start coming in. managing the bitterness and paying attention to that, and just giving yourself some space and some time to rest. And because the one thing that I've noticed, no matter what type, is when you're overwhelmed, when you're burnt out, when you've got so much on your plate that you can't think straight, you know, you don't, the energies don't come in, the insights don't drop in, right? All of these things, because your body is in self-preservation mode. It's in survival mode. There's only so much it can handle. I'll compare it to the kid who's, you know, you give a kid with 2 scoops of ice cream on a cone, he's 4, right? Ice cream falls off because he does, right? And so you bring back the kid to the ice cream store and the kid goes, I want 3 scoops, right? Are you going to give the kid 3 scoops? They couldn't handle 2 scoops. No, you're going to downgrade them to 1 scoop because that's probably the amount of ice cream that's actually going to stay in their cone long enough for them to eat. And in a way, the universe works in the same way. So that's kind of how I compare it. I don't know if that makes a very good illustration, but you know, when you can start sort of clearing your plate to create that space, that's where things can drop in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Marla. Yeah, I totally resonate with that. I'm sure others did too, right? You only get what you can bear. We all have in our culture, somewhere in our culture, there's an expression like that. You only get what you can bear, right? So if you're not ready to take on an invitation, you're going to get a little one or none at all until you're ready, right? So that's the lesson there. Yeah, I think that's it, Marla. There was another one about culture, but I think we'll tackle that another day. Because maybe we have more to say to our projectors if they're enjoying themselves. I hope they are. Okay. So I have a little bit more to say just on maintaining success. Can you guys hang for another 5 minutes and then I'll be done? Do you have to go too, Chels? Oh, 5? Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Okay. Bye, Marla. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Yes.
See you. I'll talk to you later. Okay. So yeah, the last thing I was saying was about community, right? And making sure that you're around people who value you, people that you think you can speak to freely, and make sure that you're not the one giving all the advice. Projectors, we're good at that. Remember, we're for the people. We're here to serve the people. So it's natural for us to do it. And guess what? They see that we can do it, right? They're watching us. They will always come and take if we give it freely. And when we do that, we burn out. And it's an opportunity for bitterness because it's like, well, I need help. When I need help, no one helps me. That happens a lot to projectors because everyone gets the impression from your behavior that you don't need help. You're the one with all the answers. So why can't you help yourself? And then they disappear when you are the one. So now you have to retrain them. Now that you know that you're a projector and you're supposed to be recognized, invited, it has to feel good. You have to feel energized. Don't give anything to anyone unless all of those 4 things are checked off the box, right? This will give you more and more confidence and love of your design because you're going to see how much control you have. We think manifestors, MGs, they got all the good stuff. When you are in your element as a projector, you are going to realize how powerful you are. And Ra has said that the time is coming where projectors will start to step in and be put forward as the leaders and the administrators of the human design family. And guess who's going to usher them into that? Generators. Generators will start to recognize the value of the allyship and start promoting projectors and making it comfortable for them to work in their space, right? I always think of a projector. You must think of yourself this way. You'll love it. Think of yourself as one of those swamis or sultans, and they're out in the desert and they're sitting under the only tent is beautiful, and they brought all their rugs and their carpets and their pillows and their cushions and everything. And the swami is just sitting there cross-legged, and people are feeding him, fanning him, and there's a lineup outside of villagers or the peasants, and one by one they're coming in and asking for their advice. That's who you are. That's how that's supposed to work. That's how that's supposed to flow, right? So what else do I have to say about maintaining? Mindset is everything. If you don't believe that you're amazing, no one else is. You're putting that energy out there, right? If you don't believe that you have something to offer, that you belong here, that you have a purpose, no one else is going to think that. And if you're not out there, generators, manifestors, and reflectors, if you're not out there in some way, either online or in person, no one's going to see you to invite you. Isn't that correct? Right? So we may be shy, introverted, burnt out, whatever, but there's always something we can do to just keep ourselves in the mix, keep ourselves where people know, yeah, you know, Brigitte, she's a really great coach, but I think she's struggling a little bit right now. But yeah, right? And they've just got you there. Trust me, in my life, I come, I go with the burnout. And everyone that knows me knows that I do that. They know my root and my will center come and go with the energy. And my friends who know me are like, oh, that's that thing. But she's still good at what she does. And when she's back to herself, we will pull her in and invite her to do so and so. Right? So don't be afraid to be yourself out there. And remember, we are forward moving people. We're always looking ahead. We're always looking how to be of service. We're not sitting in bitterness because we know there's always somebody to help. And they will always ask us when we put ourselves in the right place and do and talk about the things that we want to be recognized for. And I want you also to be gentle with yourself. So if you're giving yourself a hard time because you're throwing up your hands and saying, I haven't gotten an invitation, I'm not getting any, so forth, those expressions right there will block invitations, right? So I would encourage you when you're talking to your mentor, your sounding board, express those things and ask yourself, how can I change this attitude? You know, how can I be joyful about being a projector? How can I wait in joy and how can I wait in stillness? And find your way. Is it doing morning pages, for instance, right? Not everybody has someone to talk to. So you can do morning pages where it's like free form writing, where ideas will drop out of your head about what you're supposed to be focusing on, who you really are, what you really want to be doing, what kind of people you want to be around. My favorite things in the world are morning pages. Everybody know what those are? Yes, no? Oh, awesome. Joe does. Research it because I don't want to take more of your time and I have a call at 10:30, but research it. It's my favorite thing. If you don't have a therapist, you don't have a coach, you don't have anyone close to talk to, I mean, try and get a real person if you can. But if they're not there, get really good at morning pages. Okay? They were written for, it's an exercise that artists do when they're blocked. And I am not an artist and I use them and I get unblocked. You should see my notebooks have plans for days in there. You'd be surprised at what falls out of your head when you are in this state. Okay, so I think there was one last thing here. Yeah, maintaining means that you want to also draw a picture of what you want in your life, right? We call it, if you could wave a wand, what would your life look like? What would you be doing? Who would be there? What kind of people would be there? Can you build a really huge picture in your life of what you want to do and where you want to be and how you want to live and how you want to be seen and start doing something? One baby step towards that, right? And as you're doing that, you are actually starting to prepare for an invitation that gets you closer to what you want, right? And when we think about bitterness, I have a story for you. You cannot be bitter if you're busy. If you're busy doing things like busy work, your mind is on your busy work, right? And what you have to do next and so forth. If you're busy doing things that you love, you know, you're going from one thing to the next and you're like preparing and I'm going to take that class. I'm going to go here. I'm going to rest today, but I'm going to, you're always in forward motion. You're busy, mentally busy, physically busy, spiritually busy. There is no room for bitterness. Fight me. Anybody? Anybody? I don't think there is, right? So you will actually be in the zone of success. You're living example of success, and you're waiting for the invitation that you can give us a manifestation of your success. That's all, right? So, so many things we could talk about. There's so much coaching I wanted to do this morning and just hear everybody's thoughts and see if we could talk it through. Should I do something like that one day? Do you think? Would that be fun to come on and just hear questions and try to?
Bridget, I invite you to do that, please. 100%. I want to do more, but I'm so nervous. I have a 10:30, and it's
Oh, me
actually one of my
too. I gotta
first
go too.
calls I'm trying to get paid for. So please, like, you're
Okay,
just
we're
like so
wrapping up.
brilliant.
We're done, ma'am.
And I was inviting a girlfriend of mine too. So let us know when you do that coaching experience, because
Yeah, I'm
everyone needs
excited
to hear
now.
this, and we will be there. I recognize you and I invite you and I love you so much. Thank you for letting me be here. I'm hopping
Oh,
off.
no, thank you for coming, Anna. I appreciate it.
And mine sounds like fanfare, and I am that human. I am that. Well, I'm a cheerleader.
You're the
Look, I'm
cheerleader.
wearing a rainbow.
Yes, you are.
But
You're
that's what
beautiful.
human design did for me. Human design
Oh, right?
recognized
When you
me and saw
think in
me
it,
and
you love your design. You can't help
so
it.
much.
All right.
Yes,
Bye,
I love
Anna.
you. Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Bye. Thanks for coming.
Can't wait for the coaching class.
Okay, Anna. No pressure. All right. I put it out there. And you saw that. Somebody who listens and understands a projector says, oh, hello, I invite you to do that. That's what you want your friends to be like. You want them to know and listen and say, you know what, I invite you to do that. That's the vibe you want to live in. Okay. So you guys know who I am, right? Human design life coach. And I have a therapy background, so I sort of bring that into my work as well. If any of you would love to come and talk to me, I'd be honored. Come and book a free consult call, and we can talk through what it is you need, and I can figure out a program or the best way to get you there. And right now I'm working one-on-one, but my hope and dream is to start working in a group situation like this and teach more people at once. But for now, please do go to my website, brigittenight.com, book a call, look around, and come to the call sort of prepared to talk and let me know how I can support and help you. Yes? All right. So thank you. Oh, Chelsea, it was an honor to have you here, and thank you for your input and letting me use you as an example of recognition. Thank you for that. Maureen, thank you. So nice to meet you finally. And Joe, thank you for popping in. All right.
I'm in the UK, so I thought it was 5, and yeah, it's the daylight time is just messing me up at the moment.
Oh.
So this is the second thing that I missed the time frame. So I did send you an email saying, I invite you to send me the link, please. So
I think I sent it for you. I did, but it's okay.
No. But I mean, not the link. Sorry, the replay.
Oh, yes. I will send you the
Not the
replay.
link. Yeah, the link. Up here.
Yeah. Okay, you're going to get that when we're done.
I'd love if I got the replay. Yeah, because the daylight savings messed me up. So
yeah, I'm surprised I wasn't messed up. That's shocking.
Yeah, we're not changed until the 23rd of this month.
Oh.
So we got another week or something until we catch up, basically. So I've got to be careful.
All right. Well, we're glad you made it to half. I'll send you the rest so you can put it all together.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah,
thank
really
you.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. You're wonderful. Thank you.
And I love my profile, by the way. I love my profile.
Good.
I love my profile.
Good. I'm glad that we caught that. That's the attitude we want, right?
I love it. And it's true. Yeah, and it's true. That's the thing. It's true. I just want to be open to more invites. So what you were saying about the making myself prepared for invitations, that's the thing that I want to do more. So thank you. It was really useful just hearing everybody speak. I did hear. So
what a crew was here today.
Thanks for doing this. Very useful.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
thank you for saying that. We needed to hear from Joe today. All right, my love.
Yeah, hanging out with my tribe.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So we'll see you again, huh? I want to let you guys know I have a Facebook group that I am starting to work with now, and it's called Human Design in Action. So if you'd love to join, we're going to be doing, yes, Maureen, I'm going to show up more in the group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds
Maureen's
good.
my ride or die
Sounds
lady,
good.
man. She's been there.
Me?
Yes, you were in my group from day
You
one.
mean,
I have been.
Yeah,
do,
and then
do you mean ride or live?
yeah,
Ride or live. I
ride or
think
live.
I'm on a
She's
delay
my
with my
ride or
sound.
die, ride or live. All right, so Chelsea's had enough of us, so she's gone. So let's all say goodbye. Lights out for Chelsea. Bye, guys. Have a lovely rest of
Thank
the
you.
day and evening. Bye, Maureen. Bye, Joe.